Hey everyone, this is Jack Bourne. I'm the founder of Deadline Funnel, and today I've got a special guest. Her name is Liz Stapleton. She's a lawyer and blogger. She's been an attorney since 2012 and a blogger since 2014. She's spoken at both virtual and in-person conferences on the importance of legally protecting your blog and business. In addition to educating bloggers on the legal side of things at elizabethstapleton.com, she's also the founder and voice behind Less Debt, More Wine, a personal finance site, and the Blogger Breakthrough Summit, an annual virtual summit designed to help bloggers spend less time blogging while seeing bigger results. Great to have you here, Liz.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
So why don't we dive in? Let's start with the importance of the legal side of things. Just kind of like give us an overview of this side of the business, because I think this is one where we get excited about, our new business venture. We set up our website. We think about the copy. We think about the emails. That's my side of things. I think the legal side of things is not necessarily the fun side from a lot of people's perspective. But they kind of know that they need to do it. So why don't we start with that? Why do people need to have this important legal information on their website?
Sure. And a lot of times when people are just starting out and they think of the legal stuff, they think, oh, well, do I need to be a registered company, or things like that. And I mean, yes, there's answers to those questions as well, but generally they aren't thinking about website policies and, terms and conditions and disclosures and disclaimers and sort of the little ins and outs. And it's one of the easiest things to take care of, and, the return on that investment and the time you do, or the money you spend, whether you hire an attorney or you buy templates or whatever, can be huge, right? Because it can mean the difference between like having to refund all your sales or keeping your money, right? Actually earning that affiliate income or having it seized because you weren't following the proper guidelines and laws in regards to affiliate marketing. So there's it's more of like just avoiding problems down the road, if you think of it that way, and it makes it a lot less scary than people being like, oh, what do I have to do? So
let me jump in and ask you. So you got my attention with having to refund all your sales and having to return all your affiliate commissions. What under what situation? I mean, I don't want to take us too far down the rabbit hole, but I'm curious, like what sort of situation would trigger someone needing to refund sales or return affiliate commissions?
Sure. So, I mean, if you don't have, for example, on the refund front, right? If you don't have a clear refund or cancellation policy, someone asks for your money back, like, what are you going to say? Like, oh, I never said you couldn't. Right. Additionally, if you're a business owner, at some point, you're going to deal with a chargeback. Like maybe, okay, they're not getting the money from you. They're going to go to their credit card company and be like, this person didn't say I couldn't get a refund. I want my money back. And the credit card company's going to be like, show me, why I shouldn't give them their money back, right? Because that's what happens. And chargebacks, you can overcome them. You can keep the money, and you don't have to be like a lawyer to do that. You just need to make sure you have the right policies and the documentation to show, hey, they agreed to this when they bought it. And you get to keep your money, right? Because you don't want, clawbacks from Stripe or from the credit card company or whatever. It's one thing when you can talk to the customer, but it's another thing where the companies involved in processing the payments get involved, and you have a lot less control.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I know that a lot of credit card processing companies, including Stripe, a lot of times when there is a chargeback, the very first thing that happens is that the money gets zapped out of your account. Sometimes you're hit with the fee in advance, and you're really guilty until proven innocent. And that's where you need to provide that documentation. So again, I'm kind of leading with my own self-interest.
Sure.
We've won chargebacks, and first of all, we don't have very many, but sometimes you deal with thousands and thousands.
I've never had very many either, but they happen.
When you're dealing with thousands and thousands of people across the globe, sometimes people, instead of reaching out to our support team, just decide to do a chargeback. So we've won some, we've lost some, and we have a very, very well-defined terms of service. Is it fair to say that your having the right documentation in place is not going to get you a 100% shield from all chargebacks? You're still going to lose some, but it gives you a little bit better ground footing to stand on, or a lot better ground to stand on.
Certainly. So having the policies in place and being able to show, hey, they couldn't have purchased the product without checking the box that says, I agree to these terms.
Right.
You know, the terms and conditions you set, I like to explain them to people as it's your way of saying my house, my rules.
Mhm.
You know, you're agreeing to them. I'm not going to let you buy if you don't agree, because I'm not messing around with that. So, you know, it can give you a much solid ground if you can show, hey, I said no returns here. They had to agree to it before they could actually purchase. And that it's their email that matches their card. It's not some fraud or whatever, you know, because I've had that where I'm like, look, like she used it. It's her email, you know, or his email. And here's my thing. And they're like, oh yeah. And you know, you win the chargeback. And so it's not super complicated to just show that documentation and submit it as your evidence for the chargeback. And you know, then it's jokes on them really, because they're going to have a harder time probably with their card companies later, but that's a whole nother ballgame.
Okay, let's back up, because I know that you've got 5 things that you want to talk about, some 5 key main things about how someone can protect their website and why in their business, and why that's so important. So do you want to just jump in, start wherever you want, and whichever the points you want to start with first?
Sure. So since we've been talking about sort of protecting your money, right?
Yeah.
And your sales, especially because if you're using something like Deadline Funnel, you're probably getting a lot of people taking quick action sales. That's the whole point. You know, and you want to make sure you get to keep that money. So you need to have terms and conditions in place. And within those, you need to make sure you're including a very clear refund, or if it's like a subscription product, a cancellation policy, a use license. So you know, what can they use your product for? If you're selling templates, can they take those templates, use them to create a product that they then sell? Or is it only for personal use? You know, how many people can have access to the product? You know, these are all questions depending on what your product is, if it's digital or physical or whatever. You know, how they can use it basically. Is it personal? Is it commercial? Is there a fine line in between? Are they going to have to create an account, right? So if you use, you know, there's also, you know, ThriveCart Learn, Teachable, Thinkific, Podia, whatever, wherever if you're doing digital products, especially if you're hosting them somewhere, do they need to create an account, and what information is required? And they have to just say that that's okay, right? Like, because you have to have that information to fulfill your end of the bargain. And that's where you're getting into GDPR. And I'll talk about that in a little bit, but and then you need to also have you know, you can blacklist people. You can say, I'm not, you know, once I get that a chargeback once from a person, they're blacklisted. I'm not messing with them, you know. And so it's having a refusal service. It's the part in your terms and conditions that's like no shoes, no shirt, no service, but online, you know. And just documentation of when did you last update these policies? How are they required to agree to them in order to check out? Because if they're not actually required to like check that box that says I've read the terms and conditions and agree to them, then it's not as strong of a case, right? And some checkout platforms, depending on what you're using, don't let you use your own terms and conditions. So you need to make sure that whatever ones they have work for you, or you need to, you know, make some adjustments. So just keep in mind those things in terms of protecting your sales. And then protecting your website and making sure you're complying with, you know, all the various laws. There's GDPR, which hopefully everyone has heard of by now. Freaked everyone out in 2018, but hopefully there's a little more calm about it. But there's, you know, the CCPA out of California that came out last year. There's FTC guidelines with affiliate marketing, which even if you're not in the US, if the companies you're an affiliate for in the US, you need to, you know, comply with the proper disclosures of affiliate marketing, having a privacy policy, you know, and really a privacy policy, all it is being transparent with your audience. It's telling them what information you collect and how you use it. Like in its simplest terms, that's all it is. Like you don't need to have a ton of legalese, and really the easier it is to understand, the better. So I always like to put people, they really tend to freak out over the legal stuff, and they want to bury their head in sand, think it's going to cost a lot of money or that it's going to be super hard. And it doesn't have to be, because the goal is that the person reading it is going to understand it. So if you as the owner don't understand it, how is the person that is on your site going to understand it? So you want it to be very clear and easy to understand.
Now, and on that point, do you tend to make your entire document when you're setting this up for yourself or for your clients? You make the entire document sort of human readable or more leaning towards legalese, or is it a mixture of both? Because I've seen it where, hey, this is if you're not going to read the rest of this, here's basically what this says, and then it follows with all the legalese.
So I've seen that, and I do like those for sure. Mine, I don't do that. I just make what's in there easy to understand itself. Some of it may seem a little more legalese because it's like all caps because it's very important, and there's maybe there's just some legal stuff in there that not everyone's going to think of, right? Or the phrasing of that's important. But generally speaking, it's like, hey, these are the services I use. This is how I get your permit. This is the sort of permission I get from you or don't get from you to collect this information, and why it's important, and if it's necessary. And that's where we're talking cookies and GDPR. But I like to just my templates, I'm like, just fill out the table, like, here, what is the tool, what does it do, and what applies. And I've got a whole list of examples that they can then kind of figure out what theirs are.
So on the topic of affiliate marketing, what are some of the gotchas that people need to look out for?
I'd say the thing I see most often is an affiliate disclosure that isn't either in the right place or isn't good enough. Okay. So when you're talking about a good affiliate disclosure, I think the most common thing people see is this post may contain affiliate links. Click here for more info, right? But if your audience doesn't know what affiliate marketing is, which unless your site is specifically about affiliate marketing is probably the case. For us in this online world, we know, right? But the person just looking to see what you think the best table lamps are isn't going to know, right, on your home decor site or whatever. So I always like to say, if your grandma wouldn't understand it, then it's not good enough. So you need to either not use that phrase of affiliate marketing. The FTC has specifically said this is where it's coming from, or you need to explain what it means. So mine, I tend to do like, this post may contain affiliate links, meaning if you click and purchase something, I'll earn a commission at no cost to you. Click here for more info. Or you could just leave the whole part of this post may contain affiliate links and be like, this post contains links where if you make a purchase, the site will receive commission, so just being upfront. And the importance of I'm putting this all in the perspective of if you have to comply with FTC through the US, which most people do. I feel like a lot of companies require their affiliates to do so. And that's part of the affiliate terms and conditions that you should read when you sign up to affiliate programs. But the disclosure has to be before they can click. So a couple of places that I see this most often go wrong is if someone has it in like a sidebar on their website, because a lot of people access websites on mobile. And in that instance, the sidebar gets pushed to underneath the content, which means they're not able to see the disclosure before they would be able to click on any of the links. The other place I see it in the wrong place a lot is in email marketing, right? They're putting it at the bottom of their email, which doesn't comply. Now, that being said, just because you don't comply or you make a mistake, like someone's not going to come slap handcuffs on you, right? A lot of people just like to play the game of, well, maybe I won't get caught. And there's a good chance, they will or they won't. Someone has to basically report them in order for, there to be taken action. And you aren't fined or anything the way you would be with GDPR. It's that you forfeit basically the money you earned. And so that's where you might lose that sort of income from affiliate marketing, is if you're not complying with the rules and putting the disclosure in the right place, not including it in social media posts, not making it clear before the link can be clicked.
I mean, in some ways, this sounds like the almost the ridiculous warnings that you see on labels, like do not eat this product, and you're like, really, who would think about eating this? And now we have to put that like at the very, very front before someone even interacts with us. But let me ask you this. Let's say that we are putting the affiliate disclaimer towards the bottom, and in the case that someone complains, you mentioned that you would forfeit the money that you made on from those affiliate sales. It wasn't clear to me, is it for that transaction for all of your affiliate sales, or does it depend? Like what is the typical recourse that happens?
So it depends in terms of what consumer protection would do, but in most affiliate agreements that I've seen, so just you and the company, we're not even talking about, hey, here's the rules of the law, but say that you are required to follow FTC guidelines because they're required anyway. And if you don't, they can, withhold your commissions, right? And doesn't necessarily mean by transaction, right? Because how many, being able to, yes, some people are really good at making their links super trackable and they can tell where every single transaction came from. And those came from blog posts where the disclosure was, or that came from an email. But generally speaking, they're just gonna, violated our terms, we're withholding your money, I think is what you're going to see a lot of the time.
I mean, that's an important point. That's something that we have done on a few occasions, because when we are fortunate enough to have as many affiliates as we have, every now and then when we audit and we do a regular audit, we will find that, oh, wait a second, this person is, and here's one example, an affiliate had set up a site that, and they the whole thing was about these deadline fund, these coupons, these discounts for deadline funnel, and there is no discount. They were just trying to get the click, like, oh, if I click on this link, I'm going to get 50% off my first year of deadline funnel, when in fact that never was being offered to any affiliate, but they were trying to get the click. And so when we found that, we said, look, we're not going to pay your affiliate commissions because this is against our terms of service. This is deceptive. And so, sorry, we're just not going to pay you. You can change your ways and we can reevaluate your marketing methods. But until that time, we're not going to pay those affiliate commissions. Yeah.
And so sometimes it doesn't even make it to where it's like, oh, consumer protections involved or something. Sometimes just the company, and that's almost worse because they've got a lot more quick action and ability to take. And it's not that these disclosures need to be like first thing, they just have to be before the link. So like an email, because I do affiliate marketing, my emails, I have multiple sites, so it's not always my disclosures the first thing at the top of the email, it's just before the link, and I always just like think of it as you're being open, transparent, right? You don't want to be deceptive, as you said, right? No potential customer likes that.
Something that I want to add that we found to be really helpful, although it's not 100%, protection, is that when an affiliate first signs up for our program, there's a video that they have to acknowledge that they've watched. And it's a very simple video that I recorded that says, look, we've got a terms of service. You should absolutely read the terms of service. But if you're not going to, here's basically what it says. And I get it through, look, don't do anything that's going to damage our brand by like, deadline funnel scam or something like that. Yeah. Don't do something that's deceptive, saying we have, putting coupons in front of people that don't exist. And so these are the types of things that we don't want. These are the types of things that we do want. And if you do the things that we don't want, we're going to find out and we're going to hold back your affiliate commission. So, if this is you're like, I'm not passing judgment, but this program is not for you. But if you're this other type, the person who has an audience and you love deadline funnel and you want to spread the word, then please come on in and we're happy to help you out. But it's like a 5-minute video where it just explains, what we're looking for and what we're not looking for, to make it as easy as possible for people to understand.
Yeah, because some affiliate terms and conditions can be extremely long and for very good reason, but it's almost like just pointing out the highlights. Like, hey, don't be a jerk, be open, be honest, follow the rules, and we won't have any problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's how long your cookie is. Here's, the policy on the first click or the last click or whatever. And I'd love to have you promote my stuff, but not if you're going to do it in a sleazy way.
How important is it, and why is it important from the standpoint of paid advertising? So you're advertising on Facebook or Google or Instagram. Where do these terms of service and conditions come in privacy policies?
Well, they should be on your sites, right? And they should be linked to easily accessible. You can rarely go wrong linking to your legal policies anywhere, right? Like it's never going to hurt. The thing you got to remember is if maybe your checkout isn't on your site, maybe you're using like a payment processor, or you're using a separate, Teachable, whatever, that, is embedded with a deadline funnel, or, you need to make sure that it's not just on your site, but it's on those places where people are interacting, and they, as far as they know, it's your site. They don't, you know what I mean? That they can look at your terms of service and your privacy policy and, you know, whatever other disclosures or disclaimers and legal policies you have. So just always making sure across the board, anywhere where people are interacting with you or perceiving to interact with you, even if it's a payment processor, they have access to your legal policies and know, you know, what they're getting into.
I would imagine that as people do business from year to year to year, the tools that they're using change. You get rid of some and then you move to others, et cetera.
Yep.
So how often would you recommend that we go back and review some of the terms of service and privacy policies, just to make sure that we're just giving them a little bit of a polish and making sure that it's still up to
because
date?
your policies change. You know, I've gone back and I'll be like, oh, that's what it is right now. That's not what it should be, you know, like, because your business evolves and changes, and you deal with things that you learn from, and you want to adjust your policies. And, you know, maybe on your sales pages, you wrote about the new policies, but it's not actually in the policy itself. And that can cause some confusion. So I actually have it set up now in I use ClickUp, but whatever business management tool you're using, as a reminder to go look at them like every 3 to 6 months, just to make sure everything's up to date, make sure it's all aligned with, you know, where I'm at, what my sales pages are saying versus what my actual policies are saying. And just making sure everything kind of goes together and isn't conflicting, because that's where you're going to run into problems with, you know, what the customer can and can't do, what the credit card company will accept on the chargeback or not, you know, is making sure everything is aligned.
So why don't we bring this home by talking about the services that you provide, and also where people can reach out to you to find out about the tools and resources that you have.
Yeah, so they can go to elizabethstapleton.com. I do offer a free, you know, 7 things you need to know to legally protect your blog, which walks you through just kind of step by step and where you can find the information. I also sell, you know, a bundle of legal templates for primarily online business owners, not people that necessarily sell physical products. So just in that, you know, caveat, that they can find there as well. So there's lots of free resources, guides, ebooks, all sorts of things on there to just help make the legal side easy and, you know, as user-friendly as possible.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we'll make sure that there's a link near this video so that you can reach out and find Liz. Liz, thank you so much for coming here and sharing your knowledge. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.